So, Furiosa is mere weeks away. We've already taken a look at the original Mad Max that started it. So now it's time to look at Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Let's do it.
The Road Warrior.
Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, that came out in 1981. Can you believe it? 40 years ago this movie came out. Over 40 years ago. That is mental. When you actually think about it, that's just crazy to me that it's that old. I'm just like gobsmacked. I can't believe it. So anyway, I've done the original one, so you can check that out on my channel. Now we move into the sequel, The Road Warrior. Mel Gibson is back as Max in this insane apocalyptic thriller, action-packed movie. Now, upon these rewatches, I'm still going to say at this moment, The Road Warrior, number 2 here, is probably my favorite Mad Max film. I still remember the very first time I saw this movie, and man, did I love this movie. What I love about this movie is, look, it's a direct continuation from the previous one, in the first one, where we see Max lose everything and become basically almost like the people that he didn't like. He's become that. But in this movie, we have a Max who, now that he's lost everything, is unhinged. He is the Mad Max. He is the guy that just you don't want to mess with. He's someone that is only out there for himself at this point, and he's willing to do things for you in order for him to receive something. Now, like I said in the first one, this movie is all about oil, all about fuel. Whoever has that and controls this whole entire world. That is what it's at. So we get introduced to new villains in here. We get introduced to new people who are just trying to survive as well. And this movie, like I said in my first one, in the first Mad Max, the first Mad Max story is a brilliant start to a franchise. Small in scope, just deals with Max and his family and that area. Now we get into 2. And this is where the craziness starts to dial up. And you see the scope. This is on it's not like a bigger grand scale story, because it is still about, a group of raiders here who are trying to get the fuel here at this compound. And you have the compound, and Max gets involved in that. So it's not like it's expanding the world where it's like we're traveling to this place and that. But it's showcasing you now where humanity is after everything that has happened, after the wars and all that's caused them to go here, the fuel, why it's so precious, and what people are willing to do. And it just showcases you how far the humans can go in order to achieve getting that fuel. Because this movie has a lot of blood. This movie has a lot of death. This movie has a lot of insanity. So you take the first original Mad Max and you dial it up. That's what this movie is. Now, in the first movie, it is insinuated that these raiders, they do things to people. Well, you see that in this one. You see that one. And there's a particular scene where someone gets, her clothes ripped off. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That happens in the movie. You see it. So, they really showcase you here what these raiders are like. And they are very apocalyptic like. When you see the costume design, you see it and you're like, okay, that's what this is. This is where we're going. So you see that they are becoming more animalistic rather than actually human at this point, because they are just driven to do this. There's no remorse, no mercy, no nothing. And they just, whatever they want, they take. So we get introduced to one of the villains who's got a red mohawk. Man, he's a psychotic psycho, man. He is insane in this movie. And look, when he dies, man, I'm just going to say it. It's one of the most pleasurable things I've ever seen in my life, how he dies. And it just makes me question the leader of the Raiders and how dumb they are. Because, his death too is kind of like, okay. So, basically the whole movie is Max finds this compound after being chased by these raiders, and he notices that there's fuel in there, and that he gets told, oh, they've got fuel and everything by the guy who flies like this glider helicopter thing. And he's hilarious. He's like a guy that's trained snakes and that. It's this whole thing. He's a fun character. He is the gag character in this movie. He's the comedic relief to this because, like I said, this movie is heavy. There's a lot of heavy stuff that happens in this movie, like the death and all that. So you need someone to kind of like, just give you that little bit of like, oh, that's hilarious. Take you away from the darkness of this movie. Like I said, we're in a post-apocalyptic world now. So it's every man for themselves. Like, you go look out for yourselves. We also get introduced to Max's dog in here as well, which is, it's always great to have a dog. Obviously, the dog meets a sad ending. It's the one thing they don't show you on screen, though. They don't show you that, which is kind of okay, because, it's a dog, and we all know how we feel about dogs. We don't like to see them die on screen, do we? No. But, so, his whole idea is Max is going to go in there. He's like, yo, I brought this guy in, and we had a contract. He was going to give me the fuel that I needed, and then I was going to leave. That was the deal. Obviously, that doesn't work because the guy dies, so they're like, well, the table, he's dead. So whatever contract you had with him doesn't apply to us anymore. So Max is like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And then, obviously, the raiders come at this point, and this is where this standoff happens, and they've got, like, the people. This is where we get first introduced to the people tied onto the front of the cars and stuff like that. So you see that, and then we get introduced to the feral kid, who has a boomerang, a silver metal boomerang. And, bro, this little kid pegs this thing. Absolutely nails this thing. And the poor guy who's standing there next to the redhead mohawk guy who ducks under it, dude, gets sconed right in the head, bro. You see it, boom. Lights out for old mate. He's gone. He's out of it. So already the killing started and everything like that, and you're like, oh, this is mental. And then obviously Max goes, oh, well, I can get you a rig to drive this tanker out of here, but if I'm going to do that, you got to give me my car back, and you got to give me fuel that I need. So he goes off, grabs this truck, brings it back, and obviously there's carnage when he's bringing this freaking truck back, man. There's just stuff, people dying, people getting crushed, all sorts of stuff. Snakes getting thrown from above, landing on them, biting them. It's freaking mental chaos. Oh, man, it's chaos. And I love it. I absolutely love it. That's what I love about the Mad Max franchise. It's just pure chaos. And this movie is no different. It is just complete and utter chaos. When you get into the final 30 minutes, man, we'll get to that. So Max gets back. He brings it back, and then he's like, okay, I'm leaving and that. So he goes off in his car and that. Obviously, the raiders catch up to him and destroy the magnificent Interceptor car that looked so incredible. Rest in peace, Interceptor car. That car was just, was so beautiful. So beautiful, and they had to destroy it. So he gets picked up by the guy from the helicopter again and gets brought back to the compound. Now, this is where he's like, fine, I'll drive your freaking truck for you and your tanker, and I'll get it out there. So they all build up to this moment where they're going to leave, and half an hour to go. Shit hits the fan. So they drive out, and bro, when I talk about one of the best action car chase sequences in cinematic history, I mean it. This whole entire sequence is just beautiful. There is carnage. There is cars going everywhere. There's death. There's bodies going everywhere. There's people getting shot with arrows. There's people getting, one point this guy, the fucking leader of the, what's it called? The Raiders, has like this big freaking Triton head thing, and he throws it and nails this guy. It is, oh man, it's magnificent. And you can really see the difference in the budget and everything like that from this movie to the first one. Because in the first one, you had the cars and then they would cut in the editing room to a different scene. So you couldn't really see everything. Not this one. This one, you see everything. You see them getting run over. You see it all. There's people getting chucked underneath the truck wheels and everything. Oh, it's so cool. It's glorious, man. It is. Oh, that last half an hour, when I mean it, man. It's pure joy. It is pure joy. It's what an action movie should be, especially a post-apocalyptic one. It's shot beautifully, it's edited beautifully, and it's just performed beautifully. And dude, the amount of people that die in this whole sequence is awesome. And then you get the twist, the big reveal. Not once is it ever showed you that this is what the plan was. So when you see it I remember seeing it for the very first time. When you find out the tanker is not full of fuel, it's full of dirt. And you're sitting there like, right, well, I underestimated them, didn't I? I really did underestimate them. And you're like, they've got it in the freaking bus. And you're like, that's a brilliant idea. Because no one would have computed that. And even Max was like, oh yeah, I see it. All right. That's pretty smart. So this is just a beautiful movie. And obviously Max goes on this character arc as well in this movie where he's a guy that's on the road now, that's all about, I've got nothing else to live for, so I'm just going to be on the road. I'm one with the road. I'm out here in the wild, basically. You know, just trying to survive and do what I do and, you know, just get by, because what else am I going to do? And then obviously when he meets the kid and that, you know, he has like this moment with him. And then he has the moment with the people where he's like, all right, I'm going to help you out. I have no choice. I have to do it. So it's really, really good. But this movie, man, it's just so epic. It is so epic. And I love it. I love the Road Warrior. I really do. I just love the chaotic nature of the Raiders and what they are capable of and what they are willing to do. And then when you see them just come in packs, man, it is like you are just having like a pack of lions chase down gazelles. It's freaking awesome. And then you have this beautiful shot when they rig the base, the little compound as well, to blow so that they can't access the oil themselves or anything like that. When it explodes, it looks gorgeous, man. It really looks gorgeous. It does. This is definitely a huge upgrade from the first one. You can just tell by everything else. You can tell by the editing, by the shots, by just everything. It just is better than the first one, and I love this movie. It's action-packed. It's like I said, man, it's heavy. There's a lot of depth in that. There's nice comedic characters as well in there. But overall, I love the Road Warrior. So let me know what you guys think of the Road Warrior. Do you guys love it? Maybe you didn't. Smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.